Hello, this is Dr. Benjamin Norris from Frostburg State University. This video is for the students in my Chem 311 Organic Chemistry 1 course offered on the summer of 2018. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the Marvin drawing app, and I actually have tool, and I like the word app better. So I want to change the title of this link, Marvin drawing app. Right. Marvin is a chemical structure drawing app. And there's a desktop version that you can go and download, and it's free for academic use and student use. But this is the web version. And this actually says Marvin JS because the JS stands for JavaScript. This runs in JavaScript. So it should work on a lot of devices. It might not work on all mobile devices, but it should work in all web browsers. Right? And when you click on that link, you show up here. And it's embedded right here in Canvas, and you can do all kinds of things. If you want, you can click up here on the top. It says links to an external site. And if you click on this, it pops it open in its own tab. And you can see that this is actually housed at roslyn.frostburg.edu/Marvin. But I'm actually going to come back to here. Here it is hanging out in Canvas, so you can get to it right within your course. And we can, let's sort of go over the features. Features on the left and the bottom and the right are all different kinds of drawing features, and then the buttons on the top control some of the usability, saving, and so on. I'm actually going to start over here on the right. You can see over here on the right I have a number of just element symbols. So like if I click on C and I click in the drawing pane, it actually just shows up as CH4, methane. In fact, you might look at that and say, that's pretty small. So I'm going to zoom in. If you have a mouse with a roller or wheel in the middle, you can just zoom right in with that. Otherwise, there's a zoom tool up here where you can increase or decrease the zoom or just cancel the zoom. Okay. So one of the features that Marvin has built in by default is if you click an element like nitrogen and you drop it in here, it automatically fills in the right number of hydrogens to make a neutral molecule. All right, so carbon is filled in CH4, nitrogen's filled in NH3. There are some common elements that are found in organic chemistry structures over here on the right, but if you want any of the elements of the periodic table, you can go and get them up to whatever this is. If you want to undo something you just did, you can go up here and click undo, but the Control-Z keyboard shortcut that works in a lot of programs works here too. Let's say we want to draw a bond between the carbon and the nitrogen. So here is our bond tool. I click on it, and I click on carbon, and I'm going to drag it over to nitrogen. Now I have drawn a single bond between these two things. And you'll notice that the carbon went from CH4 to CH3, the nitrogen went from NH3 to NH2. Marvin is automatically adjusting the numbers of hydrogens on the atoms to make sure that everything follows the octet rule, and so on. If for some reason you wanted to hide the number of hydrogens, there's a way to do that using the settings. You can turn on and off all kinds of things. You can, so it says down here, implicit H, hetero and terminal, you can just turn off. And so now we only see N, but we don't even see the C. So let's see, there. One of these options is to show carbon labels, so show all carbon labels. So now we only see carbon and nitrogen. And so if we wanted to feel good about this being a compound, we would have to explicitly draw in any of the hydrogens. And if you watch what I just did, you can actually just create new bonds by clicking on an atom and letting it go off and create a new bond. Since this program was built for organic chemistry, it turns out that when you create a new bond, it by default makes it a carbon. And so you have to use the other elements to change it. One of the cool features is you can actually use your keyboard to change it. So instead of having, I'm going to highlight nitrogen, but if I hover my mouse over this carbon and it lights up, and I hit H on the keyboard, even though I have nitrogen selected, I get a hydrogen on this nitrogen. If you want to have a double bond, you can either take your single bond tool and just click on an existing single bond, and it will fill in a double bond. And then Marvin's letting me know that there's something wrong with this structure, and if you count it up, both of those atoms are violating the octet rule. We can click again, and it goes back to the single bond. So Marvin only by default allows alternating between single and double bonds. If you want to get other bond types, like the triple bond, down here in the lower right of my bond tool is a little black arrow. If you click on it, you can have all kinds of other bonds. So here's triple bond. There's some bonds that are on wedges. So a solid wedge and a dashed wedge. These wedges show three-dimensional information, and we'll get to that. You'll learn about that in this course. And there are other kinds of bonds. Some of these we won't be using in this course. And also in the bond is the pencil. So you can just use the pencil. You can draw sort of free-form out structures this way. So you've got something, and you're like, oh, I don't want any of this. There is an eraser tool over here. So you can click on the eraser tool. Anything you click on in that eraser tool will be deleted. And notice it tends to delete, if you click on an atom, it will delete bonds that go to that atom as well. If you just click on a bond, it leaves the atoms behind. You also have the option up here in the upper left to just hit clear, and it clears the whole drawing pane, and you can start over. If you notice, many of these tools have keyboard shortcuts described, placed in them. So for example, the drawing tool you can get to through Control D. The single bond is actually, you can get to single bond by pushing 1. So if I tap 1 on the keyboard, it goes back to single bond. 2 is double bond, 3 is triple bond, and you can explore those for yourself. When you clear the drawing area, it also clears the zoom. So if you want it to be zoomed in, you'll need to zoom back in. Another thing that you can do, actually, I want to turn explicit hydrogens back on. Okay. And I want to make one of these things into an oxygen. Okay. And again, it fills in the oxygen. You can change the formal charge. So if I want to put a positive charge on this oxygen, Marvin actually knows that needs to have an extra hydrogen. If I want a negative charge, so clicking on negative, first the negative removes the positive charge, and then it implies the negative charge. Now, in this view, by default, Marvin isn't showing lone pairs. On the practice questions on your assignments, Marvin will automatically show lone pairs. But I'm going to go and turn lone pairs on, and you'll see Marvin will automatically calculate the number of lone pairs heteroatoms need based on their formal charge. So this concludes here my first video on using the Marvin app, which is about drawing structures. I encourage you to take some time with this app and play around with it and learn to draw structures. In the next video, we'll talk about some more complex structural features, and then I'll follow up with a video on displaying some reaction information. And then finally, I'm going to do a video on exporting your Marvin drawing as a file, because you might want to create organic structures and export them as images so you can put them other places on assignments that don't have the drawing tool available. So thank you for watching.